How's it going, YouTube? Banners, custom hot rodders. Today, I don't feel good. We're gonna talk about this here van, see what I got going on. Getting back to working on this thing. What's today? April 10th or something like that. I have been waiting for parts, and this is what I've been waiting for. Window motor actuators for flat glass, because in my further videos I said I'm going to be putting electric windows and shit. So I'm sick and tired of talking about it. I'm just going to get to it. There's no directions to put these in any vans, custom vehicles that don't have them. So there's no book being written on them. Your guess is good as mine how to install them. I would say skill level 1 to 10. This is a 10 or better, if that makes any sense. It comes with universal flat glass captions. You have the 2 rubber pads, or you have the channel like this. This is probably the one I'm going to be using because the glass is so big. I do know that in one... for you, anybody out there that wants to do this, there's not a lot of videos on it. And there's, I don't care how many repair books you can get, there's not a whole lot out there either. Tech books, whatever. You can call the companies and they'll tell you that it'll fit your car, but that's a bunch of bullshit because they just want to sell you a product. So I'm here to tell you that this is a universal thing. And where these vans never had provisions for that, you're going to have to slice and dice, drill, weld, patch, do what you got to do. It's going to take a while to get it done. But we're going to use this track. I do know in a previous installation that I'm going to show you in a second on the limousine window, that there was a pamphlet that came with it, and it said you're allowed 10%, up to 10% overhang on the glass, but the majority of them want to be centered with the door and centered with the glass, but you are allowed 10% hangover. Now 10% is vague. I can't tell you what 10% of what it is because all glass is measured different. Let's just say it's only 10% of the entire length, not the width, okay? But you want to get this pretty much centered with that. So we're going to go from there. This basically is a worm gear in here, and this little rubber hose takes up the rest of the... it's actually a piece of spring. It just takes up the spring, and you kind of just let this hang. I know you can bend this because I'm going to show you what the other one looks like. This is how far I've got. Let's go take a look at this. Okay, so you can see I have the light on the camera. This is the partition glass in the back of the seat. You can see my hands come up through like this. Okay. So, this is the full-length bar that I have lopped off about, I'd say, 6 inches. Not only had to cut the track, I had to drill out the original mounting tabs, this piece right here, and the one behind here, you can see right there, that holds the tube with the spring in it. Because this is the back of a seat. Okay? So I did this yesterday, the 9th of April. And we're going to see how this works out. Now, I've already test paneled the back of the panel on this. This looks good. To secure The track to this, it came with this little tiny piece of tab, which is a piece of flat stock. And I had bend it 90 degrees up and then 90 degrees out, left to right. Laid it inside so it comes down a half an inch, because on the bottom of this there is a rubber bump stop where my finger is. So this piece of track with the guides, which is nylon, this has to hit the bump stop inside the middle of the track. For you people out there that want to know how to do this, again, there's no book. There's no explanation on how to make it work. As long as everything clears. So, to get this mounted, I made this track from that piece of flat stock that it comes with. Measured the entire back of the seat, centered this, drilled a hole into the piece of tab. I know people are asking me, oh, how do you should show how to do that. Well, again, there's no explanation on how to do this. There's no books. So basically I drilled a 3/8 hole in the bottom of this tab so the rubber grommet could slip inside it. So I just laid that track in there, held this up, and got it pretty damn close. This is my center line right here, so I'm off an inch, but that's okay, because where the glass is so long and this track takes up most of it anyways, that's not even 0.1%. So it's pretty damn close to being centered, because in the manual all it said is to be centered to the glass, plus or minus 10%. Because again, you don't want, it's like a cantilever. You don't want one piece of glass being heavier than the other side. So I got this in here. Now I still have to cut. I might have to cut this bracket off, because I don't think I'm going to use it. Basically, you got one screw here on the other side that holds this track to the railing system. Glass slips inside of here, but I'm only going to use this. So I think what I'm going to do is, once I get my glass cut, I have to get it measured. And I got to get a switch to get power to the motor so I can go up and down. Again, no manual. So to get this mounted, I came up with some 1/4 inch stock. And I looked at it and I'm like, hey, you know what? There's two tabs mounting. So I drilled a hole here and a hole here on this. Basically, there you go. It's a Y shape, welded from that bar to the bottom bar. And to pick up this tab, I just a small piece there. Pretty self-explanatory right there. The motor, this glass has to slide past the motor. Okay, so once the glass is centered in there with all the material, this will center up the track, because right now it's a little off. It looks like it's going to be perfectly clear. It comes with a bolt and a spacer on the side of the motor. So I use this. Same thing, 1/4 inch piece of steel for a tab, welded that solid. That thing is bomb proof. Bolted that in there. I had to bend this. There's no manual. It doesn't say that I can't bend it. It doesn't say if I should bend it or not. I'm looking at it. It's a spring. As long as this tube doesn't have any crimps in it, you can bend that pretty much any way you want. Now, you might have less strain on it if it's a perfectly 90 degrees, but when it came in the box, it came pre-bent like this arc. So I kind of just bent it out towards me to get it flat with this, so the back panel can just sit flush up against it, and it's perfectly flush. So my panel will go back on here, and this right here, this is the tube that holds the spring. So again, it doesn't say nothing, so I'm just going to leave that flapping, and when the glass comes down, the bottom of the glass is probably going to hit this, and just kind of like that. It's just going to let it sit there. It's not going to do any damage to it, because it's a spring inside a piece of rubber. So I'll just leave it like that. Excuse me. So this is where I'm at. Instead of talking about it, I did it. The only thing I have to go get is my glass cut. And I'm just going to take a measurement and get the glass in there, all black. Once I get the glass in there, then I can make my partition capture. Don't forget, this whole seat moves up. So the glass is actually going to come down first to move that. So I'm just going to make something right here. Goes across. Okay. Basically, and this is going to be made out of wood. It's going to be a channel so the glass fits up inside it. And the top of the glass, I'm going to have a piece of aluminum trim on it so it's not sharp or anything like that. So that's where I'm at. I also have got the actuators for my door locks, more poppers. Those are the electronic and relays. And you can see the back of this driver's side door. That's my actuator and window track. Now these are the locks. Comes with a disconnect for a backup. Look at the size of this. These are 85-pound door lock actuators. Now, because that rod right there on the back of that door, this is going to be cut inside there. Look at that, perfect. It's going to be cut inside the door, and those little holes right there are going to be. I'm going to drill one hole right there, probably a series of 3 holes there, so I can fine tune it, just like this tab has right here. It has 3 little holes. I'm going to drill maybe 2 or 3 holes on that release bar, because it comes with this piece of aircraft cable, and you're going to put it in there in a couple of cinches, and I'm going to drill that. I'm going to cut a piece out there, put that sucker in there, and I'm going to put it in there, and that's all she wrote. So I'm going to get to that, but basically you can see the center of this track is the window's got to go up inside there. But you're looking at the back side of that window track. Now I just marked it 1 inch off the top, so I'm going to have to knock that off. And it looks like, here, I'll open the door for you. It looks like on these doors I'm going to have to go 10%. So I measured this, and the window is only from basically here to like here, because it's, on a sharp angle. This is my template. This is my template for the glass. So I already got a piece of chipboard already cut out for the template. Now, it's not totally square. I'll leave that when I cut the glass. But at least I can use this as a template, because that's where you first start. Use a piece of 1/8, or this is probably a little bit thicker than 1/8. I think it's like 30 seconds or something, whatever, of chipboard or high density board, so I can clamp the clamps on that. So let's look at this. Now I have it marked here. This is a trial and everything. Again, no manual. So I'm going to use this tab first. Here's the little rubber on the bump stop. That's the bottom. Okay, so this has to touch nothing, because the bump stop inside hits this. And when it comes down, it puts tension on that rubber. So I figured out that if I go 10% of the length, I can get it right about here. So it's actually not that bad, because that track is actually like that. So it's not that bad. So I got, 8 inches there and 9 inches there, about 10 inches total. So that's 10% of the entire width, length of the door, because I think it's like 30. So measurements don't matter on this. Again, this doesn't matter. Measurements or anything like this does not matter, because there's no manual or book on this. So I'm going to drill a hole here. I'm going to put this mounting tab in that hole. At least I got something to secure the bottom. And then I can use that to swing it where I do. You want to get this perfectly vertical. pretty much straight up and down. And I'll use a square from this top, and I'll just measure it because there's not really a whole lot to measure. You have room on these. You can see they're oval. One's lower and then one's upper. So you are allowed to go left and right or up and down. I can go this way and I can go left and right and up and down. And it doesn't look like it's much, but it's about a ½ an inch on each side. So a ½ an inch on each side equals like an inch. Then you have these two holes on each side. So right now I'm in the bottom ones. I can also go in the top two. So that will either lower or raise her. So there you go. There's an explanation. I'm going to try to video this and not keep it so long for those that are interested in installing flat glass universal window track actuator motors. So you have a good day, and I will get to you next time.